Hello and welcome to Dream It, Dare It, Do It, Live the Life You Want. I am Jasmine, your host. Thank you again for listening, guys. I hope that you're having, you know, beautiful insights. I know I am. This season has been a fantastic season for me. I feel like I've grown so much in just the past year, maybe 9 months. And so I want to thank you all over the world. I know you're listening. And today I am so happy to have Aaron Turner with me. Hi, Aaron.
Hi, yeah. Nice to be here.
Nice to meet you. So, people, Aaron, Aaron is a busy man. He has a website called One Thought, and he speaks what we've been speaking. And he is the president of the 3PGC,
Yeah.
Three Principles Global Community. He's on the board. And he's also, are you on the board of the 3P UK also? Is it like a board?
No, there's no board. It's kind of run and created and presented by a partnership between One Thought and Better World charity. So that, yeah.
Okay.
I think of myself as one of the presenting organizations.
I got it. I got it. So you're from the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you, how long have you been in this conversation?
There's two ways to answer that. I have been in the conversation, I would say, for 36 years. I've been interested in the conversation for probably 29 to 30 years.
Really?
I was forced into the conversation way before I was interested in taking any notice of it.
Got it. Did you meet Sid?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Many times. Yeah, many times.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool. So let me ask you. So I'm gonna say my podcast, as you say, is Dream It, Dare It, Do It, Live the Life You Want. What do you think about living the life you want? Like, I would like to have your take on it.
Well, my take on it, and forgive me if I'm reacting to this inappropriately, but that what makes sense to me since coming across the principles is that if I'm living in a understanding of my thought that allows me to live in more of a feeling of the purity of mind and essence that we are, so live in a more clearer state of mind, I will love the life I'm having. And knowing it's so, to me, what really makes sense is I'm thrilled by the potential to have a richer experience of life, and that's what I want. And I know it has nothing to do with my life, so I don't tend to want much about my life. I don't want to live the what life I want. I want to have a really rich experience of whatever life I have. So that's kind of the way I think about it. Because for me, I find like when I'm thinking about the life I want, it doesn't usually come from a very deep place of gratitude, connection, enjoyment, and appreciation. It comes from a little bit like, what would I like better than this?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. No, I agree with you. Uh, I'm see, what I've seen for myself is that, a lot of times, of course, I go in retrospect. I think of myself in my 20s, and I'm like, oh, in my 20s, I used to meet these goals lists, and in 5 years, like the typical thing that
Yeah.
we do in personal development. In 5 years, I'm gonna want this, and I would create them, and I would think them, and I would love them, and then it wouldn't happen, and then I'd beat myself up about it, and it was just not a cool place to be. Like,
No, I could, yeah.
it was just not a cool place to be
Yeah.
until I started to learn about,
Yeah.
my thoughts. I think I had a lot of thoughts. I think I lived in my I think I still have a lot of thoughts. But there's a total different I have a total different interaction with them.
Mm.
Last night, just last night, I'm sleeping or trying to sleep, and I'm like, I'm working. I'm in my head, and I'm like, this client, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. And then I've got myself, like I can hear the mental noise, and I'm
Yeah,
like, okay,
yeah.
you don't have to interact.
Mm.
You really don't have to interact. You need to sleep now. You're tired, you
Mhm.
know? And
Mhm.
I've started seeing that kind of thing, which
Yeah.
totally transforms everything because I
Oh,
can have thoughts of, well, that person's an ass, and I can go, who cares? Like whatever you say, it doesn't matter.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's very cool. That's very cool. Yeah, it's funny listening to, I mean, even you asking that question is interesting because I really do feel like the power and the potential is that endless potential for a richer experience. And like when you're having a richer experience, the details of it really don't matter. And weirdly, really weirdly, the more free and richer experience of whatever's happening, the more things tend to go in a direction that you like. It's kind of a weird thing.
And it's fun.
It is fun. Exactly. It's fun. It's fun. Yeah. Really is fun. So one of the things about that direction that I find really useful guidance is that idea that the potential for richness and enjoyment and contentment and happiness and love is unconditional. There's something about that unconditional, meaning like as soon as I bring in conditions to it, I'm causing my own problem completely unnecessarily. So
Mm.
I've kind of always been very careful about that because it's been a real kind of uh, guidance, uncompromising guidance point of no, it's unconditional. Happiness is unconditional. Contentment is unconditional, you know, and suffering is unconditional. You can have exactly the life you want and really not enjoy
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, but that's how I kind of woke up to it because I wanted to have a business card, I wanted to have a boyfriend, I wanted to be engaged, I wanted to have the house, and I had it all, and I was kind of like, well, that's not it.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that I'm not happier. I'm not feeling good. Why am I shitty? Why am I always swearing? Why am I always miserable? Like, what the heck is that? Like,
Mm.
that made me go into the inquiry of seeing there has to be something else. And I went through a whole bunch of ways. I went to see the psychics, and I did the astrology, and like I did it all. But I love that I did do that because it brought me to the understanding of the three principles that I keep seeing new stuff on a daily basis.
That's cool. That's very, very cool.
So one thing that so I read your bio, and you're about ending suffering, right? In
Mm,
the bio that I read.
well, it's not just that. So yeah, when you see that, oh, the only thing people are missing is an understanding, it does point to the fact, oh yeah, no, really, there's two things for me, Jasmine. Am I jumping in too soon?
No, no, go for it.
No, so for me, I'm about the normal adult state of mind is not a clear one, and it could naturally and easily be. And that would have two huge implications. One is well-being and happiness would be more of a normal, and that would hugely reduce chronic suffering. But secondly, there's an infinite host of problems and complications that people experience in their relationships, in their job, in their lives, that would also become a thing of the past. So to me, it's like, oh, if people could see this one understanding, all these huge number of things would change. So to me, that's what it's about.
So let me ask you this. So here's what occurred to me. And this is, I know it's made up, so I'm just going to say it, but I would like us to have a conversation about it. So I have this thing about that's a big statement, like ending suffering, for all, ending people's suffering. A solution to people's suffering is what you wrote, which one single solution to people's suffering is what you wrote. I think that's awesome. And then my mind goes on a rampage. Well, that's too big. That can't be done. Blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of things
Yeah.
involved in there. And I
Yeah.
feel like people are missing out. The people are missing out of this conversation. Like I know I've talked to a lot of people and they kind of go, it's not that simple, Jasmine. And then they step away, right?
Yeah.
They're just like, okay, I'm not going to talk to her. She's a weirdo. I've been a weirdo for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just want to, it's not a big thing, but I understand how people could think it's a big
Yes.
thing.
Me too. Me too. Yeah, me too. And I mean, a lot of my work, I don't go in and say, oh yeah, this is the answer to everything, because I think it gets in the way of people getting a chance to discover it for themselves. Because you're right, if it's outside see, the answer is simpler and has way more potential than most people are aware of. So the delicate balance is, how do you help them realize that without them dismissing it because they think that's too simple and unrealistic? It's a delicate balance.
It is.
And that's kind of, my work has always been about that, because I want people to have the chance to discover what it means for them, but I don't want to compromise the message so it inhibits their ability to discover the full package.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Like, the thing that I've stopped saying, I say it to my friends because now they get me and they've heard me talk about this long enough. And I try not to say this to people that I have not heard this conversation, is it's all made up, because they don't hear it's all made up. They
Yeah.
hear it's wrong. I'm
Yes.
not saying
Yes.
it's wrong. That's not
Yes.
what I'm saying, but that's what they hear.
Yes. Well, what you're pointing to there is that once you see how much of our experience is thought, and and essentially how transitory and created thought is, let alone what's behind it, once you start to get a feel for that, you start to see that there are lots of things that are true that you never realized before, which is, there's no reason you can't be happy, or unhappiness is temporary and fleeting in nature, or it's all made up, or there's nothing really wrong, or everybody's fine but they don't know it. There are all these things that are true, but what I've discovered is, I think it's difficult if you tell people that, right? It's like giving them the answer to a math question rather than have them see the workings out. Like I found is, like, if I say, look, I want people to see it's all made up, so then I have to ask myself, well, what is it that allows you to see it's all made up? And then I show them that. And if they see that, look, that you have all these experiences, and without circumstance changing, your experience is changing. What does that point to? Well, it points to it's variable. Well, how can your experience be variable if the circumstances are staying the same? It starts to, and then it helps them realize it. That they can see for themselves, this looks very made up. I'm like, oh, that's what, yeah, I can see what you mean.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's their ability to discover it. That's what I was thinking. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah. No, no. You did exactly what needed to be done. Yeah, it's I really wished that people would not dismiss this conversation so quickly. And I know that there are, thousands and thousands of people I don't know how many we are I call it the 3P community because it's like people that are in the three principles. And I've talked to people in the 3P community that all of a sudden just get upset with the three principles, and it's like,
Yeah.
that's not the truth. And then they
Right.
come back and I'm like, oh no, actually it is the truth. Like they kind of go into the 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 process. I think there's a process. Like
Mm.
here, that's my question. What do you think? I feel, this is how I feel. I feel that I went through a process. I kind of heard it. Like my first conversation about around this was about thoughts and how thoughts would grow. I remember that, you have a thought and then you have another thought and it just grows. And that made me like, that was like flabbergasted about that. Like, and so I started seeing that. And then I learned that if I could see it, I was basically, conscious of what was going on. And I started seeing consciousness. It took me a while to get to the depth of it. The part where I've said this before, but where just life is,
Mm.
and whenever I'm suffering, it's because I'm trying to put meaning into it, and I'm up here, and I'm like, this shouldn't be, and this should be, and this is the, yeah. I had Aaron, lately I had a major breakthrough. I call them breakthroughs with my father. So
Mhm.
my father wasn't talking to me, and I made up that he wasn't talking to me because of, such and such a thing. And I kind of looked at it and I was like, okay, it's within, has nothing to do with dad. What are you seeing?
Yes.
So what I saw was, I thought dads should be a certain way.
Right.
So I'd been looking at my father all my life, like not looking at dad, but looking at how dad should be. Like
Yeah.
I saw it on TV. This is how dads should be. My dad
Yes.
is not that.
Yes.
And then what I saw was, wait, he has probably a version of daughters should be like this.
Mm.
And that made me able, that allowed me to see through that and stop behaving, because my behavior was, I'm not going to call him either.
Yes.
You're not calling me, I'm not going to call you. I was able to get out of that behavior and just start calling him and ignoring
Yeah. Yeah.
ignoring what I thought
Yes.
and ignoring what
Right.
he thought.
Right. Right.
And that was great, because
Mm.
I'm not like, my father's 81. I don't have time to be angry with him. Like, I don't know. He could, I could wake up tomorrow. He's not going to be there.
Mm.
And I thought that was great. And I'm not caught up in the rights and the wrongs and the shoulds and the shouldn'ts. And that was a process for me.
Mhm.
Have you had the experience of going through a process? Or like, I don't want to make it a thing, but it's kind of like we kind of see things differently as we're moving. It's a living, breathing thing, right? We're kind of like learning.
Yeah. No, I mean, what you described is beautiful. It's a really nice example of the benefit of using these principles as a guide to understanding. Because we do get upset and we do get stuck and we do get into reactions and we do get at odds with people, including ourselves. We get judgmental and down on ourselves. And what these principles provide is a reference point that opens up the possibility of not having be trapped by that framework, whatever that framework or feeling or outlook or assumption or belief or reaction happens to be. Right. So if you're, like I've had lots of times where, I'll get upset and not treat it like a passing thought. And so I'll get upset with Leela or one of the kids or a family member, or it could be anybody. We have, I don't know, but tens of thousands of upset thoughts. Each one is a chance to go into a reaction that you can get stuck in. And the principles are amazing because they give you a chance to step back and say, oh, what does it mean that I'm feeling this way? Well, it means that this person deserves your resentment. No, I know, but from a principles point of view, what does this feeling mean? This feeling you is telling you about your thought and your state of mind. Oh, okay, well, what is this feeling telling me? Well, what is the feeling? Resentment. Oh, it means that your outlook is skewed and distorted and it's not a clear mind. And the longer you stick with it, the less happy you're going to be in the long run. And it's not really trustworthy from a gold standard point of view, because it's not a clear, trustworthy, insightful, intelligent mind that has any perspective whatsoever. So you want to go with that? Well, when you put it like that, I'm not sure, because the opportunity cost is a better way of looking at it and your own happiness. It seems a lot to give up. And it gives you a chance to take a fresh look. And then you get to have that process where you go a different way in relation to the thought, and you find a different opportunity and potential. And it's mind-blowing. Every time it's mind-blowing.
Yeah. Yeah, because if we think about it, you know, like it's, I always come back to like really small things, you know,
Yeah.
like chocolate or vanilla. Well, I'm a chocolate girl. Like you can ask me why. I could make up why, but the fact of the matter is, I'm chocolate. You can talk to me about pistachio all you want. There's nothing that's going to deter me from my chocolate, you know. But I do the same thing with a lot of things, you know, like there are things that I'm clear about, like, you know, I will not hurt animals. I'm clear about that, you know. And they're just so I love that I've discovered that I am love. I actually love immediately, and and I don't want to hurt anybody, and I can own it. There was a time where I was stuck in the thought that no, the love part is the fake part and the bad part is the real part, right? So for a long time I lived in that, and I was hiding because when the love came out, I felt inauthentic. I felt like, I was just lovely. What have I done? What have I done? You know, kind of thing. And then when I was angry, I was like, it's okay. See me, I'm an angry person, you know? And when I saw the different, I just laughed, Aaron. I laughed my brains out going, wait, I've been going around showing my inauthentic self this whole time when that's not what I wanted to do, you know?
Yeah.
And
That
that
is
was super cool.
it's really cool. It's really cool. Because yeah, it just shows you how the difference it makes how you see it.
Yeah.
You know, if you have upset and you think it's real, well, it doesn't matter whether it is or not. It matters whether you think it is.
So you work with companies mainly? Is that what
Mainly.
you do? Yeah.
Yeah, mainly. That's the bulk of what I do. Yeah.
So you go into the companies and you train the staff to learn this so that they can have a better work environment and better work life, basically.
Well, a bit of life. Yeah. A bit of life
Yeah.
and a bit of work life, but also because everything, all the things that don't work very well all come down to disturbed states of mind. You know, so when people go from a burdened, disturbed state of mind to a clear mind, everything works better, people enjoy it more, it takes less time, it produces better results, and people are putting less energy into it rather than more energy. So it's like what you said earlier, it transcends the current limits of the current model. The current model is work-life balance. The limit to how companies can do is work-life balance, because you don't want to ruin people's lives just because they're at work. So you got to really push that balance, work-life balance. But when people have a clearer state of mind, it's really good for the people and it's really good for the company, and more gets done in less time, and everybody's happier and they communicate better and it works better. And you don't, and then you start to see, oh, all those inefficiencies and problems and issues that didn't, well, they were all symptoms of an unclear mind. They weren't really real things anyway. And that's new for people. That's really new to see that.
Yeah.
It's the magic of a new level of clarity or a new level of consciousness. It's like, as your clarity goes down, the distortion of your mind creates thoughts that create problems. And you can't solve those problems, but if you go to a clearer level of mind, they don't exist because the distortion of your mind that created the dysfunctional thoughts doesn't exist. So you just stop producing them. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's why when you're not in a clear mind, just walk away. Don't do anything. Just
Right.
like wait, because it's gonna become clear. It
Yeah.
it will clarify. It always does. It always has. If anybody looks now, they can see how, it has clarified
Yeah. Yeah.
inevitably.
I know.
Like, go ahead.
No, no, you.
I was gonna say, like when my mom was sick, right? My mom had dementia,
Okay.
and I didn't go into all of my thoughts of how horrible this was and how could this happen to her, and I didn't go into it. I was so happy that I had this understanding. I had come to this understanding because I was able to just be with her in the moment and just have clear mind of, okay, so like, and if something happened, I would be like, okay, well, she dirtied herself, well, she needs a bath,
Mhm.
right? It was as clear as that. It wasn't, oh no, now I gotta put her in a home and I gotta, but everybody else around me had that, right? Oh, now you gotta talk to this person, you gotta do this, this is, and it was like, if I would have listened to all the thinking that was fear thinking, that was love thinking, I could see that it was coming from a love space. But if I would have listened to that, my mom would have been in a home like within a month of her being diagnosed.
Yeah.
But I just stuck there and I was like, okay, what's going on now? What do we need to do now? And it was clear. There was
Mhm.
nothing, you know, in the
Wow.
way.
Wow. Yeah. It really is amazing the way the situations we see and the way that we see them changes so drastically when our thoughts change or when our clarity changes. It's really amazing.
Yeah. I love using see. It's like sometimes you just see something from
Mm,
within, not with your eyes. You just see it and
mm,
you know it's truth.
mm-hmm, mm.
It's, it's great.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's great to be able to trust it too, because I can see that before I could see things, but then I didn't trust it because
Yeah.
my intellect would pop in. Well, that can't be. Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it really does help knowing what's more or less trustworthy within your own mind. I mean, that's invaluable. Really is invaluable. Yeah.
So right now, you are giving a class. So right now, just so you know, guys, we're recording on July 19th, and you are now giving a class with, or are you still giving it a simple premise?
No, I launched it, but other people are jumping in now.
I've heard a lot of beautiful feedback on it, just so you know. Yeah.
Great. That's really nice to hear.
So, guys, if you're wondering what this class is, the Three Principles Global Community, when you are a member, you get to get this class.
Mm-hmm.
That and we got the recordings, we got the replays and all of that. So there's that going on. And what else? Are you on vacation now?
From tomorrow, I
From
am.
tomorrow?
From tomorrow, I am. And we have, when we come back, we have a few things we'll be working on. So we'll be running our open registration for the public. So basically, that's access to our online video course coupled with some webinars to get together and learn with us and talk it all through. So that's like a 8-week program that starts in January that
Okay.
people can
This
sign up for now.
This is for one thought.
Yeah, for one thought.
Okay.
And then we have 2 practitioner programs that start after the summer. The one is for people that want to share the principles but don't feel clear or confident enough. That's the foundations program. So really understanding the principles as a foundation, strong enough foundation to work with others. And then the other one, which starts in September, is my professional practitioner development program, which is a chance, once you have a foundation, you're working from the principles, you have clients, you can learn with me for a year. So you sit in with me. So I post 2 recorded client sessions a month. And then we have a webinar each month to talk them through and to talk through the challenges people are having with their clients or the things they're trying to do in their practice. And it's all looking towards a deeper understanding to meet all these challenges and learning opportunities in the work that we have.
Okay. Fantastic. Sounds like fun, guys.
Yeah.
Onethought.com.
Yeah, onethought.com.
All right. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for taking the time before your vacation to come and chat with me.
It's a pleasure. I really appreciate you inviting me. And I really like listening to where you're at, Jasmine, because I love the way that you're really starting at the fundamentals and taking everything out of the fundamentals. And I think people listening are really lucky that they get to hear you and your guests talk from that perspective each time. I think it's fantastic.
Well,
It's
thank you
awesome.
very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this will end there for our conversation. And so I'm going to bid everybody a good day. And I'm going to say, dream it, dare it, do it, live the life you want. And I'll see you next time. Take care.